I sent a text to my parents. My son's in the ER. Their reply came quickly from my mom. We're tied up with Margaret. Then she threw in a jab at my son, so I cut them off, canceled their mortgage payments, their car loan, every credit card I'd been covering. I stood in the hallway of the home I grew up in, my gaze drifting over the framed photos lining the walls. My sister's college graduation, her wedding, the birth of her daughter. In each one, my parents' faces glowed with pride. My own milestones, nowhere to be found, that familiar knot twisted in my gut. At 35, you'd think I'd be over it. From the kitchen, my mother's voice floated out. "Karen, is that you? Come help with these dishes." I hadn't come to wash dishes. I was here to set boundaries. In the kitchen, my mom was rushing to arrange a tray of hors d'oeuvres for Margaret's big party. Of course, my sister had just landed a department manager role at a local bank, thanks to Dad's connections. "Can you finish this? I need to get ready," she said, already tossing her apron aside. "Your dad grabbed the wrong crackers. Margaret likes sesame, not plain." I nodded and took her place at the counter. Same old story, just a different day. My phone pinged. A text from Sharon, my ex-sister-in-law. "Have you told them yet?" I hadn't. "How do you tell your parents you're done bankrolling them after years of footing their bills? How do you explain that their only grandson left them out of his family tree project?" The front door slammed. Heavy footsteps neared. "Karen," my dad said, barely looking at me. "Where's your mom? Margaret's due here soon." My chest tightened. "She's getting ready." He gave a curt nod and vanished into the living room. I arranged the crackers, memories flooding back of all the times I'd stood in this kitchen, craving approval that never came. My full ride to UCLA, my promotion to senior analyst, my son Mark's birth, none of it ever enough to pull their focus from Margaret. She was their miracle baby, born after years of heartbreaking losses, the daughter they'd almost given up on. I was just the rough draft, the warm-up act. My whole life, I'd chased the love she got without trying. When my husband, Justin, left me for a coworker 3 years ago, I thought my parents might finally show up for me. Their daughter, now a single mom, surely needed them. Instead, they wondered if I'd driven him away. Had I been too career-focused? Had I failed as a wife? It wasn't them who stepped up. It was Justin's parents, Sharon and Brian. They became my real family, picking Mark up from school, watching him when work took me out of town, showering him with love. Meanwhile, my parents stayed distant until 6 months ago. Out of nowhere, they started calling about Mark, inviting us for Sunday dinners, offering to babysit. I wanted to believe they'd changed, that they finally saw what they'd missed. Then Margaret got her promotion and it clicked. They didn't want us. They wanted money. My mom returned to the kitchen, now in a new dress I'd paid for. Done with the appetizers, Margaret's almost here. I slid the tray toward her and said, "We need to talk." Her face shifted from excitement to unease. "About what? Can it wait?" No, it couldn't. "I'm done covering your expenses," I said, my voice steady. Her jaw dropped. "What expenses?" As if she didn't know I'd been paying their car loan for years, or the roof repair last summer, the property taxes, their Hawaii trip, every dime. My hands shook, but I pressed them against the counter. "The car, the credit cards, the insurance, everything." She stared, mouth working silently. "Why would you do this, after all we've done for you?" A bitter laugh slipped out. "And what have you done for me?" "Fed me, clothed me, the bare minimum." She tried to claim that as some grand sacrifice. When Justin left, who was there? When Mark was sick and needed doctor visits, who showed up? When I got promoted, who even noticed? Not them, never them. My dad appeared in the doorway, frowning. "What's this about?" My mom spun toward him, voice shrill. "Karen's cutting us off after everything." His face darkened. "Is this about that thing we explained already?" "It's about everything," I said, years of hurt spilling out. "It's about Mark calling Sharon grandma because she acts like one. It's about you skipping his birthday for Margaret's beach house getaway. It's about my emergency surgery 3 weeks ago, appendicitis." I'd been rushed to the ER, barely able to think through the pain, desperate to know Mark was safe. I'd called them first. "We're at Margaret's promotion dinner," my mom had snapped, annoyed. "Can't his dad get him?" Justin was in Seattle with his new wife. "We can't leave now, Margaret would be crushed," she'd said. Then the kicker. "He's just so difficult sometimes." My son, their grandson, a burden. Sharon, though, answered my call instantly. She dropped everything, picked up Mark, stayed with me in the hospital all night, turning waiting room chairs into a bed for him. That's when I saw the difference between duty and love, between blood and family. My dad's voice pulled me back. "You're blowing this out of proportion. We couldn't ditch Margaret's dinner. It was a big deal." More important than their grandson, scared and alone. More important than their daughter in surgery. I'm done, I said, my voice calm but firm. No more money, no more pretending. You don't get to use me when it's convenient and ignore me when it's not. My mom's face twisted, not with guilt but with strategy. The car payments due soon and your dad's prescriptions. Let Margaret's new salary cover it. Or they could tap their retirement savings, the ones I'd been supplementing for years. The front door opened and Margaret's voice rang out bright and oblivious. Mom, Dad, I brought champagne. My cue to go, I grabbed my purse. Karen, wait, my mom called, panic in her voice. You can't do this. But I could, and I was. I passed Margaret in the hall, her face flashing confusion. Karen, I didn't know you were coming to my party. I wasn't. Congrats on the promotion, I said, meaning it. Her success was never the issue, just our parents' inability to see both their daughters. I left, the weight of years lifting with every step. At home, I found peace in the silence. Mark was at Sharon's, her text lighting up my phone with photos of him dusted in flour, grinning ear to ear. Family isn't blood or obligation. It's the people who show up, who make you feel valued for who you are. 3 months passed without a word from my parents. No calls, no guilt trips. Then, on a random Tuesday, my mom's name flashed on my screen. I almost hit decline, but answered out of curiosity. Karen, she said, her tone clipped, calculated. We need to talk about this situation. The situation being their financial mess without my help. Nothing to discuss, I said. A pause, then her voice turned bitter. Margaret won't help us, says we need to figure it out ourselves. The car was repossessed yesterday. The mortgage is 2 months behind. I'm sorry to hear that, I said, and part of me meant it, the part trained to feel responsible for their comfort. You can't abandon us, she said. We're your parents. Blood, not love. They'd never been parents in the ways that mattered. I have to go, Mark's got soccer. Karen, don't. I hung up, blocked her number. Across the kitchen, Mark was working on his school project, a family tree. How's it going, buddy? I asked, leaning over. At the top, he'd drawn Sharon and Brian as Grandma and Grandpa. Below, me and Justin as Mom and Dad. At the bottom, himself. No Margaret, no maternal grandparents. Is this everyone in our family? I asked gently. He nodded, sure of himself. These are the ones who love us. Simple, deep, true. That night on the back porch with a glass of wine, a breeze cooling my skin, I thought about inheritance. Not money or houses, but the emotional legacy we pass down. The beliefs about love, worth, connection. My parents carried their own scars, their warped idea that love is earned, that kids owe their parents instead of being cherished. But cycles can break. Patterns can shift. Mark would inherit something better from me. The truth that love isn't a deal, that family is chosen, that showing up matters most. My phone buzzed. Sharon. Brian's making chili this Sunday. You and Mark in? I smiled, typing back, wouldn't miss it. This was my legacy now. Not guilt or duty, but choice, connection, love, given freely, received fully. For the first time, I felt truly rich in what mattered. Looking back, the pattern was clear. The endless chase, the constant fight to be seen. My worth had always been tied to their approval, or lack of it. Every milestone was a quiet plea. See me, care about me, value me. My childhood bedroom walls once held certificates, spelling bee medals, math awards, all gathering dust while my parents cheered at Margaret's games, recitals, and minor school events. When UCLA offered me a full scholarship, my dad just frowned at the letter. California, too far, who's going to help your mom around the house? Not Margaret, never her, she was their star, I went anyway. Worked through grad school, built a finance career, stood on my own. Then I met Justin, charming, warm Justin, who made me feel like I mattered. His family pulled me in. Holiday dinners where my opinions counted, barbecues where my voice was heard. Sharon called just to chat. Brian taught me car maintenance. It was new, this easy acceptance. When we got married, my parents griped about the venue, the date, the food. Margaret, my maid of honor, looked bored. My parents left early, citing her morning appointment. Justin's parents stayed, helped clean up, hugged me like I'd always been theirs. Mark's birth should have changed things, their first grandchild. But they visited once, briefly. My mom held him stiffly, then handed him back. He looks like Justin, she said, as if that excused her detachment. Sharon and Brian, though, they brought casseroles, stayed up with him so I could sleep, held him for hours. When Justin left me via text, not even face-to-face, it was Sharon who found me crying on the bathroom floor, who took Mark and me in. My parents? One call, my mom's voice smug. Men don't like women who put work first, I told you. As if I'd earned abandonment. The divorce was ugly. Justin fought for money, not custody. Sharon and Brian, caught between their son and their principles, stood by me. Your family, Brian said. That's that. Simple for them, unthinkable for my parents. When legal bills and single motherhood overwhelmed me, I asked my parents for help, just temporary. My dad wrote a small check, grudgingly. Don't expect handouts. But when their car broke down, they called me right away. Can you cover it just this once? That once became endless, my boundaries blurred, fueled by a naive hope. If I gave enough, they'd finally love me like they loved Margaret. Desperate, foolish, but I couldn't stop. Not until the crisis. Not until he's such a burden. Not until I saw the truth. It was never love, just a transaction. My money bought their fleeting attention, not their care. That broke something in me, but it also set me free. I didn't need to prove my worth anymore. I had love from Mark, Sharon, Brian, friends, colleagues, the family I'd chosen. A week after I left my parents' house, Margaret called, rare for us. What did you say to Mom and Dad? They're freaking out about money. I told her I was done funding them. They think you're cruel, that this is payback. Was it cruel to stop draining myself for them? Was it payback to hold them accountable for years of neglect? I'm not punishing anyone, I said. I'm just done pretending. A long pause. They'll never change, she said, weary. They've always been like this. A rare moment of honesty, an acknowledgement of the roles we'd been forced into, her the golden child, me the invisible one. I know, I said, but I've changed. Another pause. Good for you, she said, maybe the truest thing she'd ever said to me. Months later, I was learning what freedom really meant, not just from obligation, but from craving approval from people who couldn't give it. My worth wasn't tied to their validation. I'd always been enough, they just couldn't see it. Mark ran into the kitchen, breaking my thoughts. Mom, Grandma Sharon says spaghetti's on tonight. Can we go, Grandma Sharon? A title earned through love, not blood. Grab your shoes, buddy. As he raced off, gratitude washed over me, for my resilient son, for the family we'd built by choice, for the clarity pain had brought. The hardest lessons don't come from what we inherit, but from what we learn through struggle. The drive to break cycles, to do better, to build something new. My parents showed me exactly who I didn't want to be as a mother, as a person. For that, oddly, I was grateful. Driving to Sharon and Brian's, with Mark chattering beside me, I felt something click into place. The journey, from chasing approval to finding peace, from seeking validation to knowing my own worth, was complete. The weight of emotional debts, inherited patterns, crushing expectations. I'd carried them too long. Now they were gone. What remained was mine, family, love, belonging. Not transactions, not duties, but choices, deliberate, rooted in the quiet certainty that I was finally where I belonged.